thanks to you all. It's great to see so many people on the call. I hope we all have a bit of fun, but I know we're going to be touched by an awful lot of things too. So firstly, let me say a big thank you to all the poets who submitted poems for the book. Had a heck of a lot of poems. I think there's about 65 in the final book. Book's now available on Amazon for just £5. That's a bargain, isn't it? Even cheaper for the Kindle version of it. And it'll be available for Amazon, and you'll find it off the Time to Talk website when we finish this call, the same page that hopefully you'll be looking at. Anyway, truly amazed by the passion that's contained in the poems in the book, and it's been a true honour for me to be provided with the poems and trusted to include them, and I do hope you enjoy them as much as I do. It's a great thing, I think, that we've been able to recognise the different peer support networks. And obviously, we've got the BT Peer Support Network, the Time Support Network, BBC, Channel 4, Speakers Collective, and probably more, who knows. Each person, each member of those networks has got a wealth of knowledge and a lived experience. And a few years ago, that tended to be ignored in the workplace, and people were sort of told to cover it up. But I think now we're changing that, which is quite good. Firstly, I just want to say there is a trigger warning to do with this one. We are going to be talking about suicide, baby loss, death, and other very personal issues. So if you need to leave the call for whatever reason and take a break, that's fine. We will record the call. You can catch up later. And before I go, I need to reiterate that all discussions and talk we are from a personal nature, not associated with any companies or organisations that people are affiliated to. So let's start with a quick overview of the different networks that I've been sort of managed to bring together. I'll start with Time to Talk Mental Health UK. Obviously, it's something which I'm very close to. I'm one of the trustees, which is great. We've got a few members of Time to Talk on the call as well, which is great. And Time to Talk Mental Health provides a online peer support environment for any UK-based adult who's struggling. I'm lucky enough to be a trustee of the charity now, and it's been a great honour to continue their good work. And it's rather than me tell you about the charity, I've just happened to have one of our trustees on a pre-recorded video, which I've got to sync up.
How you been? How you doing? I know that there's a lot that you've been through, and I tried to call, reach out a hand, but I know there's things you're going through I'll never understand, but I'll be right here. I'll leave a light on for you, my dear, and I'll do my best to dry your tears, and I hope you know I'm here. How you been? How you doing? It's so sad to see the good times are left to ruin, but time has passed and things have changed, and even though we want them to, things never stay the same. But I'll be right here. I'll leave a light on for you, my dear. I'll do my best to dry your tears, and I hope you know I'm here.
Hello, I'm Sue, and I'm a trustee and events manager of Time to Talk Mental Health UK. When I joined the TTT Facebook group, I just had a breakdown, and then I was diagnosed with complex PTSD, anxiety and depression. I was feeling very isolated, and I needed to find ways to help me. So I'd been involved with Time to Change at work, and I thought I'd have a look and see if they had a Facebook group, and through that I found the Time to Talk Facebook group. I asked to join, and since then I've become very passionate about this peer-to-peer support group. It's a place where you can talk in confidence and safely about your struggles, your experiences, and share with each other how we cope, how we can distract, or even just supporting with empathy. And I've learnt an awful lot about the varying mental health conditions that people live with and how broken our mental health system is. And I'm so glad we are here to offer support for each other. It's a privilege to volunteer for the Time to Talk charity. None of us are clinicians, but we are experts in our own mental health, and the empathy and non-judgmental support we need and receive is really important when we're at our lowest. So if you need to join to have support, please do look for us on the Facebook groups and ask to join. Thank you.
For you, my dear, I'll do my best to dry your tears, and I hope you know I'm here. How you been? How you doing? It's so good to see you back up on your feet, and I'm glad you called. I'm glad you reached out, and I hope you're feeling better now, and I hope you don't forget that I'll be right here. I'll leave a light on for you, my dear. I'll do my best to dry your tears, and I hope you know I'm here.
I'll pause that before it keeps playing on my laptop. Good. There you go. A quick summary I made quite a few years ago with about Time to Talk, and it's still relevant now, sort of 3,000 members. Good. Right, so that's Time to Talk. I think now I'm going to hand over to Claire, who I think has joined. That's good. Thank you, Claire, with the purple lanyard. Claire, do you want to give a quick overview of the BBC Peer Support Network?
Thanks, Graham. Hi, everybody. This afternoon, I hope you're all well. So I'm Claire Kendall, and I'm one of the peer support coordinators for the network we have in the BBC. I first started my peer support journey, I suppose you'd call it, by setting up a pilot scheme for journalists, because we were dealing with really difficult stories, long-term stories, and also supporting contributors and realizing the impact that was having on us as journalists. Fast forward 5 years, and we now have a peer support network across the organisation. And I'm pleased to see some people from my team who are on the call today. So thank you for your support. 300 of us have been trained. And as peer support volunteers, we can be contacted through our intranet. And as Graham says, we are wearing our lilac lanyards around all of the different offices we have around the country and around the world. So we're visible in case anybody would want to approach us and find out a little bit more. And we've sort of taken over from mental health first aiders, and we're here not really to deal with people in crisis, but to offer that early well-being support. And it is in confidence unless we feel that we're concerned about your safety. And, you know, if that's the case, we probably do need to speak to you about getting some extra help. The aim, why do we do it? Well, we want every member of staff to know that they never have to feel alone. We're a friendly face, we're a friendly ear to listen and to understand. And that can be either a problem at work or a problem at home, because many people don't really want to share with their manager or colleagues, or they might not even want to burden somebody from within their own family or who they're living at home with. So we're there we're available and we will listen, and we signpost as well. So we try and offer some options of places for people to go and find out more information, or some suggestions of where they might be able to look for further help. A bit like Time to Talk, you know, we're not counsellors, we're not clinicians, we're just a group of staff members. Many of us have lived experience or have had mental health struggles. And basically, we want to support and help make people's lives a little bit better. So thank you. And I hope you enjoy the rest of this afternoon.
Thank you, Claire. Again, it's very similar to what we've got doing BT, which is convenient, isn't it, in terms of being sort of there to listen, support, and signpost, I guess, when need be. Good. We're moving to John next, I think, who can give us a quick overview of the Speakers Collective. This is a group I didn't know anything about when I first set this idea for this book up, John. So you can fill us all in if you're there.
Hi, Graham. Well, firstly, thank you for all the work that you've been doing, and the launch of this amazing poetry book, and looking forward to reading it. So yeah, a little bit about the Speakers Collective. You know, and some of the things that you shared there in your slide really resonated with what really the Speakers Collective is about. There were some words there, Graham, in your short video that said about the safety of being able to speak up. And so Speakers Collective is a not-for-profit that has been running since 2017, peer support with lived experience speakers. It initially started as a group with people that were sharing publicly their own lived experience around mental health. And over the years, that has grown so that anything from a place of stigma and discrimination, so that could be mental health, that could be physical, could be race, gender, you name it. We've got over 200 members already that are doing this work day in, day out, bringing their lived experience to make social change happen. But we also know the load and weight that it takes to do that, and to feel that you feel fully supported. And when we started as an informal group, that's what we were seeing was amongst our kind of peers, the burnout that was there, sometimes the emotional drain that it takes when sharing a story. We know the impact that stories can have on changing people's opinions, educating and creating a sense of empathy. But it's usually individuals that are doing that. It's not big organizations or companies that has this infrastructure in place. So really the Speakers Collective there is an organization to support and empower lived experience speakers. And yeah, it's just wonderful to be involved in this project, and all the work that you're leading on, Graham, to bring so many different organizations together. So yeah,
good.
Very honoured to be here.
Thank you, John. And again, it's thank you for your support for what we've done so far, which is great. Good. Right. And I'm going to turn to my old friend Giles, who's currently with Channel 4. Giles, you were with BT many years ago now. Can't remember how long it was now, probably 4 years
ish. Yeah. Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks, Graham. I think actually winding the clock back even further, I suppose I was a peer supporter around disability in Transport for London.
Yes, of course. Yes. Yep.
And often a point of call for people who just wanted a person to listen. So I was kind of provided that place for people to come and talk. And actually, there was a colleague of mine who said, actually, why don't we have a dedicated network for mental health and well-being? And I came up with the name Well Meant, and that group was kind of kicked off and ran for a number of years in TFL, which I was really, really proud about. And then I joined BT and saw the amazing work that Graham had been doing with, and I think it was Mark at the time.
Mark Ogden, yeah.
So, yeah, Mark Ogden. I left BT 3.5 years ago now. But really impressed for the 2 years I was there with just the scale, the resilience, the impact of the network that Graham and Mark were doing. So yeah, really, really kind of used that as a bit of a benchmark. And then joined Channel 4. We have a great network called 4Mind, which allows people to check in on a regular basis. It's run by a trio of amazing co-chairs. We also have mental health first aiders, again, local. You can look up someone's local or speak to someone in a different office, and then an independent employer kind of assistance program. And a kind of an ad hoc thing we also offer, kind of either one-to-one or group basis, is kind of looking at resilience action plans. So actually, how can you make a sum of small tweaks to kind of improve your well-being and resilience over kind of a period of time? So we've been running a few sessions about that. And I've submitted a poem about my grandmother, her hobbies, her sayings, her lifestyle, and her last wishes, just to kind of celebrate her life after she passed. So that's a little bit about it.
Yeah, thanks, Charles. That's great. Good. Finally, the final peer support network we haven't talked about is the BT Peer Support Network, which is peer-to-peer support network, which is something I know a bit about. I launched it back in 2017. I think we started off with 8 volunteers, 8 members. We've now got just short of 1,800 members across 25 countries. It was 26, but BT sold Italy, so we've lost that one. Lost Italy. So 25 countries. And again, we a bit like Claire was saying about the BBC, we've got a number of trained people who are listening ears for any BT groups. That's BT, OpenReach, E, PlusNet, BT Source, and whoever else it is, just to find someone to talk to. Like I say, we're covering the whole globe, which is great. And not only do we provide a listening ear, we also provide sort of a informal support network. So we have every fortnight we've got we call it the phone box. It's BT, so it's about telephones, and that's for men just to sort of join a call for an hour every fortnight and just talk about stuff they want to talk. No fixed agenda, just make sure there's a volunteer on there to catch anything. We have a similar one for the women called the Exchange, and we have the Gateway for LGBTQI plus folk as well. And quite recently we started a monthly call for men surviving baby loss, which is an interesting thing, which is very, very popular. As well as that, we run regular mindfulness calls. We've got 3 mindfulness calls a week in BT Group. And we have lots of podcasts about mental health. We've got Glenn on, who I saw him earlier. He sort of manages that, which is absolutely brilliant. And maybe you've seen some of the videos that we've launched for the poetry book. Glenn's produced all of those. So thank you to Glenn for doing all that. But it's a network of people who are passionate about mental health. And it's the best thing of my job at the moment. Forget the technical stuff, which is making the internet happen. That's easy, isn't it? But actually, it's going into work and knowing that I can support somebody just in some way and helping them get through, which is great. So, and often the network is called made up of friends you never know. We are quite good into building communities in different parts of the country, UK, but also India, Ireland, Hungary, various other bigger areas where we've got BT people there. Anyway, so the book is great, and it's great it's out. I have got a few copies of the book, but I haven't got them here in the room. I'm looking at my background. I'm not actually in a field. It looks like I'm in a field in Suffolk, but that just happens to be the photo I used for the cover of the book, so you may recognise it. But I'm actually in the office at the moment, so my office isn't a field, despite being from Suffolk. One of the things when you get a book, you get it out there, publish it. It's a bit like I used to write songs and publish songs years ago, and you spend ages getting them out there, and you think, what's next? What do we do next? Well, this is where I think I'm going to introduce, if she's on the call, one of my newest friends. It's somebody got a long list of things, not sure how much, Rebecca, you want me to say, but she's been a head teacher 3 times. She's worked for local radio. She invited me out for a coffee a few weeks before this book, and she's a trained musician, as opposed to me, who's just a guy with a guitar. So, Rebecca, I'm going to hand over to you now and let you talk about your podcast. Really exciting.
Thank you so much. It's so amazing to be here. I've just sung twice already. I've got 3 more to go at the Harwich Shanty Festival. So I know you're in Suffolk.
Yes.
And just to localise me, I'm just over the border in North Essex, and I sing with a shanty group, which is poetry of sorts. And I've just done 2, and I've got 3 more gigs to go this weekend. But what a treat to now be here as well and add that to my weekend. So thank you so much. I'm just going to talk about poetry, really, and read you a couple of poems. I think there's time.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to show you this other poetry book that's called Staying Alive. There's 2 anthologies, really, part of a duo, Staying Alive and Being Alive. And this first one was published in 2002. and I was in my 20s in that decade. And it really, well, I did classics at university, which is, you know, Homer is poetry, but it really introduced me to the breadth and depth of poetry in my 20s. And I was on a survival journey in my 20s. Particularly, I had a very difficult experience at university. And thank you for the trigger warning, Graham, but I will just sort of side mention it, whereby I was staying in a house overnight. I was asleep, and a man broke in and did things that not very nice men do to women who are asleep. And so I had quite a lot of things to sort out, I think, in my 20s. And this became a real balm for me. And I was looking at the introduction, and there's a few things that people say about poetry. Joseph Brodsky says poetry is essentially the soul's search for its release in language. And I think that when you read poems that do that, you know, don't you, that there's a soul there being released into language. So I like that one. Lots of people say different things about what poetry is. George the Fairest said it should be strong enough to help. That's what poetry should be, strong enough to help. And I found myself saying on the radio, I don't quite know whether this will resonate with people, but for somehow I think a good poem removes a brick from your soul and then puts it back in again in a slightly more human way, and sort of improves your infrastructure slightly, makes you feel a bit more human. I was really, one of the things that helped me survive whilst I was at university was I listened to the radio. I had to have the radio on all night to keep that noise in the background. And very recently, in about the end of 2024, I was gifted the opportunity to do lots and lots of radio. And it's been a real, my father died in March, my uncle died in November 2024, and it's been a real balm. And what I realized was that being on the radio, I could read poetry and nobody complained.
And you did.
And so I started reading the odd poem, and then it became a bit of a thing that I did, is that every hour of radio that I had, I rationed myself, and I read one poem. And I ended up writing a poem about radio and what it had done for me, which is the one that has ended up in the book. And so I will read that for you, and then I will mention my podcast and finish off with another one if we have time.
Yes.
So the poem that I wrote is about radio. The one thing that you need to know is that people on radio count backwards from the hour. So you do backwards timing on a clock. And so if you've got a song that's 3 minutes and 30 that wants to take you up to the hour on the news, you have to talk up to 56 and a half minutes and that kind of thing. So we do backwards timing on the radio. So there's just that one reference that will help you. And it is about the power of radio and how well I think that radio can look after people. And it's called Radio Studio Party. And it's by me. Pass the Parcel has been cancelled. Musical chairs is just for one. The lighting is unexciting. No dancing has begun. The jelly and the ice cream must wait. The news is next. And as for chocolate sprinkles, I've got to check the texts. The fancy crocs, the party frocks can leave themselves at home. I'd rather have a set of clocks for reading backwards on my own. 1, 2, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, stop. Where's the jingle? Play the single, indie, folk, electro, pop. But I did send out the invitations. Postcodes deliberately blurred. Destinations loosely programmed. Message clear, be undeterred. You who watch the swallows from your single comfy chair. You who wonder whether your neighbour knows that you're still there. You whose late departed husband has his mug still on the shelf. I invite you to this party, you and everybody else. It's a symbiotic moment of the best we humans make. A radio studio party. Please help yourself to cake. So I was given so much salve thank you for the reactions. It was a salve for me being on the radio, actually, and being able to read poetry whilst I was actually handling the demise of my father. In fact, I had a call from the care home on the Sunday morning when I was doing a show telling me I really needed to come. But sitting in that studio and connecting with other humans over the airways, it's a very wonderful and powerful thing. And then I have ceased to do the radio through various twists and turns of life, as so happens. And then a most magical thing happened, which is that people wrote to me, relative strangers who had connected with me on social media, somebody whose son very suddenly died, for example. And she said, I miss you on the radio. I don't know why I'm messaging you, but I feel like you can help. Do you have any poems for me? And I've had a few others. And so I've gathered myself into the realm of tech and launched a podcast. The tech thing is not, well, I don't mind doing a bit of social media, but actually all the like, is not my favorite thing. And I've ended up putting together a podcast, and it is called The Ditty Bag. It now has 3 episodes, and it has gone down very well indeed. I've called it The Ditty Bag because a ditty bag, well, poems are ditties, but because a ditty bag is a sailor's spare kit bag to keep your I suppose it's your sort of first aid kit. It's your second set of clothes, if you like, in your ditty bag. So if there's an emergency, you get your kit out of your ditty bag. And so that's why I've called it the Ditty Bag. And I choose 5 poems each week. And I'm just trying to find on my phone the right bit. And I've lost it. And it's really annoying because I was going to read you one of the poems that I read. Have I found it? Yes, I found it. One of the poems that I read. So it's 5 poems. You can find it. It's called The Ditty Bag. You can find it on various different platforms. And I've also now have the honor of poets sending me their poems, which you can do. And some will be published poems and some will be unpublished poems. And if they move a brick from my soul and make myself feel when I put it back I'm a slightly better or richer human, then it'll be in the ditty bag. So the 5th poem that I read this week was In Tintagel Graveyard by Brian Patton. Which I'm going to read today. And I might cry. I'm feeling very emotional. It's a really emotional thing to talk about, poetry, but we'll see. I'm a sobber at the end of the day. And so the 5th one is called In Tintagel Graveyard. And I chose it because Brian Patton died actually very recently, and the simplicity of his poetry. So I say to you, I mean, I'm no expert really, but those of you that are writing poems, just put the words down and it's often enough. And his words are so simple. And he's a great poet, really good to look up, Brian Patton. So I'll read you that and then I'll stop, Graham. So I'll read the poem and then it'll be back to you. I'll leave a lovely moment at the end, all right? So this is In Tintagel Graveyard by Brian Patton. Who brought flowers to this grave? I, said the wren. I brought them as seeds and then watched them grow. No, said the wind, that's not true. I blew them across the moor and sea. I blew them up to the grave's door. They were a gift from me. They came of their own accord, said the celandine. I know best. They're brothers of mine. I am death's friend, said the crow. I ought to know. I dropped them into the shadow of the leaning stone. I brought the flowers. No, said love. It was I who brought them. With the help of the wren's wing, with the help of the wind's breath, with the help of the celandine and the crow. It was I who brought them, for the living and the dead to share. I was the force that put those flowers there. Thanks.
That's lovely. Thanks, Rebecca. As I said, she's absolutely a star, so that's brilliant, isn't it? Good. I will put a slide at the end of the today's session with a link to the Ditty Bag, and also it'll be on the Poetry Peers page off the Time to Talk website as well at the end. In fact, it might well be there now because it might have magically done it while she was talking. Good. So thank you for that. Right. I was going to open up for anybody want to shout out and say how they've been affected by peer support, either as a supporter or anything else, any personal, fairly quick, non-personal, non-private things they want to shout out and say how it's helped them being a peer supporter. open the floor to anyone.
Okay, I think I was part of the peer-to-peer support group at BT India.
Yeah.
And I think what Rebecca has just mentioned, I mean, at the point of she getting triggered again, but I'd say you realized, Rebecca, that he was a coward and you were the fearless one. So you are a girl so full of life. So the universe needs that light, right? Your poems are the source of that light. The universe decided to speak through you, right? You recognize that strength that you have, right? And I have my daughter here. She's listening to the podcast. And the reason why I've got her here is she gets to listen to women like you. And I hope she grows up to be as strong as you. You know, even I'm feeling very emotional right now after listening to your poems and stories. And I think I really agree to what you said. Poetry, it shifts something within us, you know. Once it's out, we feel better. So that's why, there's something trying to talk through us as a medium. I don't think poets are great, but we've been chosen as mediums to say something. And so we are blessed.
That's brilliant. Thanks, Dorothy. That's good. Glenn, you've got your hand up?
Oh, hi there. So I'm sure...
a typical open reach engineer in a van.
Yeah, it wasn't pre-planned. So today, I'm sure most people know, is Mental Health Day, World Mental Health Day. I keep saying awareness. And we've had 3 days of talking to people. We work in one branch, which is Whitechapel, and we've only just created the team. What I've found is that peers on the different floors, I think there are 15 or 16, don't necessarily know there's a peer on the floor below them. So I thought, well, let's do something about this. I don't even work there. Pulled them all together. We've had such lovely conversations today. The reason I became a peer is because I lost my brother years ago. And I don't want anybody else to go through that. I didn't know much about mental health, and I've learned really just by listening. So I've always listened, and I didn't know that was a job. I didn't know that was something you could do. So I'm now a listener and trying to explain it to people today. What is it you do? I says, I think I just listen, confidentially. And I've always been a listener. And it's as simple. And what I'd say is, look, just conversations. Find a way to express yourself. If it's in words, great. Some people journal. And I think that's how Cam, who's written a few poems, she journals. And then she turned that into poetry. If you express yourself through music, use music. If you run, walk, cycle, swim, do gym, use that. And one of the lovely things that happened today was there was a guy who came to us, and his biggest complaint was there's a table tennis table in the building, but he hasn't got anybody to play with. And he was saying, I can't express myself because there's nobody else to play with. I said, right. Well, I think that's something we might be able to sort out, because we've managed to adopt the building, and I think we probably know who to speak to get some table tennis back. So now we're going to start with table tennis club, and that's how easy it is to be a peer, and I think it just, I say all the time, kindness is a superpower. It truly is. It does help people, and sometimes it saves lives. So, I've realized I've always been a peer. And as I say, I didn't realize it was a thing that people did anyway. And it's just lovely. I know you save lives, so it's important. Yeah.
Thanks, Glenn. Absolutely brilliant. Yeah. Typical open reach engineer in a van playing table tennis. Let me get the stirring in. That's great. Anybody else want to shout out quickly? If not, absolutely fine. Let's move on to the next bit. And this is probably the best bit now. Not that saying the other bits we've already had aren't best, of course, because you're all. This is where we talk, we listen to real poems from the people who do it. And the first one, I hope Sinead, you're on the call because you weren't on earlier, but I'm sure you're on now.
I am. I'm here.
Yeah, brilliant. Hasn't changed. Look at that blue sky. I've got blue sky behind me as well. I see.
This is a blue wall, actually.
Oh,
it's not
yeah.
a sky.
Yeah,
Dark over here.
This is a photograph. Yeah. Yeah, it's quite like there. Thanks for that. Now, Sinead, yours, as you know, was the first poem that I selected for this book, because as soon as I had the idea of the book, I remember a poem that you wrote and shared with us quite a few years ago when you were with BT. You've now left BT and moved to the UAE, where it's nice and sunny and far too hot. So yours was the first poem. So I contacted you via probably LinkedIn and said, Sinead, I'm doing a poetry book. Do you want to have your poem? And you said yes. And I thought, yes, this is going to go for it. So it's a great poem. I'll let you cover it. It's very nice.
Yeah, no, thank you for inviting me on and all the support you've given me over the years. More than happy to read out my poem for a little bit of context. I won't go too much into it, I was just in a really bad place, right? Just really alone in a really really dark place, and my biggest struggle was just not being able to tell anybody, and how I told people, and people being my family, my nan. She was a really important person to make. I wanted to tell, but I didn't know how. I basically wrote this poem.
Thank you.
Happy to read it. Okay, so how are you supposed to smile when every bone in your body is aching with pain? How can you beam with pride when you feel like everything you touch turns into flames? Is it possible to be told you're making people proud, yet feel you are a burden on people's lives? Is it possible to live your life to the fullest, yet feel like it's hard just to survive? Have you ever felt like you are living in a mask to hide your true feelings behind a fake smile? People tell me I should be happy. Well, put on my shoes and walk a mile. When your heart is shattered into a million pieces and floods of tears are not enough to give. When falling asleep feels like you're being tortured and waking up is a nightmare you don't want to live. Take some pills, close your eyes and count to 10 is the best advice they can give. Sorry. But I don't need to close my eyes to see the darkness that I already live. You try your best to share your story with a stranger or a friend. Don't be confused when you didn't tell them the truth. So why should you be on the mend? Oh, God, sorry.
Carry on, right.
You live with a feeling of selfishness because you should be happy and you are not. You try not to compare yourself to others, but that takes a lot. I will not turn to suicide, drugs, alcohol, or a pill to temporarily numb the pain. For once and forever, I will speak publicly, loud, and honest, with hopes that I can breathe again. Oh, it's been a while since I looked at that.
Every time I listen to it, Sinead, it pulls at my heart. It does, because I know a bit of your background, but of course. And I don't know if I mentioned it. You wrote the poem for World Suicide Prevention Day many years ago now. So, or you shared the poem for that anyway. So
it feels like a really pinch me moment. Kind of taking myself back to where I was and to now. Seeing where I am, right? I mean, I already come on such a long way, but making the move across the world and actually being really happy, it's it just feels like quite surreal actually when you think about it.
It is. It's just like life, isn't it? It's brilliant how it's changed, and it's really nice. Thank you for sharing that, because like I say, it's the BT Peers Support Network is it's your friends you didn't have, and you're one of the many people who are sort of still in contact with, and it's made a real difference. And it's I've shared your original recording on social media. I got massive comments on it saying wow. So it's touched a lot of people. So
thank you,
Sinead. I'll let you get back into your 35 degrees centigrade environment. It's about that here in Ipswich, not quite, or maybe it's 5 rather than 35. Who knows? That's great. Good. Wow. We'll move on to the next one, which is again quite a heart tingler one. Life can be hard for many of us, and things can happen quite suddenly. I think this happens I think it was 24 years ago by the next poet when her daughter was born sleeping. So, Leslie, if you're able, can you share your poem? It's quite short, which is nice, but it's a really beautiful collection of words.
Thank you, Graham. So my daughter was born by caesarean section 2 days after the terrible events of 9/11. So it's kind of one of those dates which is really hard to avoid. This year, it was kind of more on my mind because my nephew got married on the 13th of September, which is the day my daughter was born. So when Graham said about the poems, it kind of came naturally just to write something for her and for all my friends who've been in the same situation. So I'm going to try and get through this without crying. A day I will never forget. A day I'm not going to.
Oh, good for it.
You've got this. We're all listening.
Thank you. A day I will never forget. A day I don't want to remember. My hopes, my dreams, my wishes for the future, melting like a snowflake touched by the sun. Only in my fading dreams do I catch a glimpse of the person you might have become. The hint of a girl's laughter on the summer breeze as children play nearby. A pretty summer dress, mischievous eyes and nut brown curls remind me of you. Time is a healer, they say, but I still remember as if it was yesterday. A day I will never forget. A day I don't want to remember. The day I lost you.
Well done, Leslie. Well done. Like I say, it's when you write things down, it can bring things to life, and it's very touching. Good. We'll move on if we can. Next one, we have one of our moderators. I mentioned it at Time to Talk. We've got, well, I may not have mentioned, we have about 20 moderators on who provide support for people who need support. There's somebody on the rota, 9 o'clock in the morning, half term at night, 7 days a week. And one of our longer term moderators, key moderators, is Laura Anthony, who's got a poem for us. Laura, I'll hand over straight to yourself.
Thank you very much. I'm a moderator, also a admin for Time to Talk. So I'm on this evening from 6 p.m. to 10:30. So I'll be dealing with people in the group. My poem is called Flashbacks. The reason I chose this because one, I'm over the Heathrow flight path. So sometimes in the night you can see the flashing of the airplanes, and another one is I'm a swimming teacher for my job. Also, when the day a couple of weeks ago, I was teaching and thunder outside, and I said to children, "Don't worry, I am here for you." The afternoon of writing the poem, I could see police sirens and ambulance sirens in the mirror of my bedroom. So it's called Flashbacks. From the start to the end, no fear, I am here. From sights that bring you sounds of the loud noises, such as fireworks, concerts, they're still flashbacks. Flashbacks can be easy or hard to get through. Will we know how to overcome them? What tricks to get through? No wonder I have flashbacks, so do you. Plus, please remember that you overcome flashbacks and you're all survivors of them. How many flashbacks have you overcome? For me, too many to count or choose them. Flashbacks may be overdone for now, but they will come again, and when I'm not expecting them.
Brilliant. Thanks, Laura. That's lovely.
You're welcome.
And again, thank you for your continued support for Time to Talk. It's a great team. It really is. It's good. Right, we'll move on to back to Openreach now. We spoke about Openreach earlier. I think in Openreach we've got a large number of ex-armed forces people. I think Openreach is the biggest recruiter of ex-armed forces people in the UK. Many of the men and women who come from the military background have PTSD, not surprisingly. But as you know, PTSD isn't necessarily related to people who are from the armed forces. It's also people who have trauma of some sort. So it gives me great pleasure to welcome Mark Anderson to the call. He's got a number of poems in the book. This one is written in capitals, which I think sums up the way it should be read. So, Mark, do you want to introduce yourself and your poem?
Hi, Graham. Thanks. I've been part of the peer-to-peer now within Openreach and BT for quite some time. I started my journey with BT in 2018, and I've just remained with it. I had a couple of suicide attempts while working in the call centre, but funnily enough, the peer-to-peer is what actually helped me through all that, and that's what got me here today. So,
wow, brilliant.
I have the pleasure of kind of using my previous experience from the military to help people within the peer-to-peer. So when I got the chance to add my poems to this,
you've got a copy of the book. Yeah, I can't quite see it because it's faded, but yeah, brilliant.
So yes, I'll have the pleasure of reading it from that today. So this was my death letter that I basically left instead of a letter to my family in case anything happened when I went to Iraq.
So nice happy book. It's page 22 if anyone's got the book with them.
So it reads, I'm going on a mission. I'm going on to war. I don't know if I'm coming back. I don't know anymore. But I'm doing it for the country. I'm doing it for a friend. But no matter what happens, I'll do it till the end. I'll hold my head up high. I'll fight and die with pride. I'll live or die happy with my friends at either side. Guns will be emblazoned, gunfire in the air. But dying for the country is like dying without care. Families keep their dignity. Families show they're proud. And if it comes to a burial, we'll be with you in the crowd. Everybody lives on, even after death. So I'll smile and then say thank you with my final dying breath. Thank you for the love you gave, and thank you for the time. You have given me the best of lives, and I'll have lived it through the prime. I'll always be around you, always at your side, to look down and protect you so you'll never have to hide. So when you're down and lonely, look up and call my name. I'll hear your call and reach for you like a sun ray through the rain. I'll end this rhyme in fashion. There's only one thing left to say. Thank you for your loving time. I'm sorry I went away. Remember me.
Thanks. Thank you, Mark. A poem called Remember Me. It's great. It's very good. Good. We'll move on to the next one now. You've got a few more left, I think. I can't remember left. There's lots of mental illnesses that we might talk about, all different acronyms. The next one from Jess is all about OCD. Jess, I'll hand over straight to yourself if you want to. You're there? Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, thanks, Graham. Yeah, so this was my first attempt, really. I didn't really know how to put things into words. Every time someone would make maybe a reference or a sly remark, or maybe something they might not understand, or these sorts of things that are attached, aren't there, to certain mental health illnesses, that people have these preconceptions in their mind about what it might be. So when they sort of think something's neat and tidy, when really it's a lot deeper than that, even though that is a part of it and that is one of the positives, but there's other things that maybe people don't understand. So some context for this was in my workplace, I didn't want to have to explain it. I didn't know how to put it into words. So so I wrote this one called One's Credulous Delusions (brackets OCD). So I've given it my own title as opposed to its actual name. A torturous minefield sits in wait from the moment I awake. A safe haven my brain is not, filtering out the lies I've caught. A desire to think, but not like this. An unscratchable itch, am I deserving of bliss? I feel no power to put up a fight. The hitting, the shaking won't dull the words so unkind. The emphatic noise of thought so strong, the repetitiveness of rituals all day long. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. How many counts will it take to make me feel an ounce of safe? No number is enough to make me think straight. A whisper, a murmur, an incantation. It will tell you anything to feed its fixation. Locking, pulling, causing frustration. Nothing will satiate or cause alleviation. My soul is pure with good intent. I feel unstable inside a mind so hell-bent. The weight of the world, responsibility unrelenting, self-inflicted illness with no comprehending. The mask, it slips. I can't speak, I can't breathe. There is no self-soothing. Doubt myself again and again. A vicious cycle with no way to sustain. Never feel clean, only insane. The apathy I crave will only cause further pain. One mind, one soul, never-ending thoughts, all untrue and obsessive, I'll believe in all sorts. Detached from reality, pondering thoughts so obscure, my weary soul knows no remedy to procure. A good day, a good week, all mean nothing long-term, as long as in my mind there lives that worm, burrowing and nesting, it's found its home. My body and my mind are no longer my own.
Thank you. That's brilliant words there. It's great. Thank you for sharing that. It's good.
Thanks.
Right, I think we're going global again. So we've had Sinead in UAE. We're going back to Dorothy in India, I think. So Dorothy's got 4 poems in the book, and this one she's going to share now is a good one. So Dorothy.
Yeah. Thanks, Graham. And I think it has been a pleasure to know you through work. And then you turned into a very good friend. And we were speaking over LinkedIn, and you just shared that you're bringing out a poetry book. And I said, I write some random things. You want to have a look? And you said that, yeah, why not? And that's how 4 of them landed in this book.
Absolutely.
And I feel privileged to be a part of this group. And I've been listening to fellow peers who spoke their poetry. And I think all of them resonate. But there are a few which I'll probably call out. Rebecca, I think I already called you out. You are a wonderful, lively girl. The world needs more people like you. So remain strong. Yeah. And Leslie, I think it was you who spoke about losing her child. Yeah, I think I have also suffered miscarriages, so I know what you were speaking about. And I know the kind of pain, inexplicable. I cannot find words to soothe your pain, but all that I can say is I know how it feels. Okay. And Mark, I think your poem was the first one. I really ran to that poem to just read what a death letter could feel like while we are, grieving our losses in this world. Here was someone who's walking straight into, almost death, right? How does that feel like? So all of you, your experiences, and Jess, I think at such a young age you're writing poetry. Rebecca, I think you spoke about writing poetry in your 20s. So you are wonderful young women, perfect examples for the next generation. So keep writing. As for my poem, so we poets, there are days when we think we should write a poem today and nothing comes. But this was a day when I felt that this poem just came to me. I didn't write the poem. It just leaked out through me. So it was a morning and I was feeling a strange restlessness. I walked to office. It was around 8 a.m. and it was a very strange restlessness that I couldn't decipher. So I just sat down with pen and paper and the words just fell into place. They are not very rhythmic, but they made sense. And most of the times when I write poems, my poor husband, he has to read and he has to say they are nice. But this was this one instance when he immediately called back after I shared, and he said, like, you can understand the impact when he said, like, really, really nice. I mean, guy who's used to saying nice because he has to say it. But then this was the day when I still remember how he said it. So yeah, after that, a lot of people read it and said that it was nice. So I hope, Rebecca, like you said, maybe it moves some parts in you if you hear it. So let's just hear it. The name of the poem is I Heard a Muffled Cry. distant yet close by. More of a sob, making an effort to talk, yet choked. All was quiet nearby. Where from was this cry? A man's voice or female? Hard hitting, yet pale. I lay quiet, listening to the breeze that flirts, shameless, with young and old leaves, even the ones now dry. Yet that discomfort, that heaviness within, refuses to go away till I knew who cried. I look here and I search there, amidst the old ruins and winding stairs, out on the street and away from it, wading through awkward glares. Yet no silhouetted figure, wiping a tear, neither any puffed eye that could have let out that soul-stirring cry. Now tired, I slump onto a bench. Helpless I feel, with a strange thirst to quench. I know not when I had closed my eyes, for tears rolled down my cheeks. That's when I realized it was my soul crying all along, unable to speak.
Thanks, Dorothy. No. Thanks. Yeah, again, that's a really nice poem. I first read it, I thought that's the one we could have. It'd be great. Good.
Graham, I'm so sorry. Sorry to just burst in.
Yeah.
I've got to go. I've got children and singing. Sorry.
That's absolutely fine, Rebecca. We've got one more poem, and then I'll put a link of how to get to the ditty bag.
Yeah,
you're
I
a
just
busy lady.
I didn't want to slink off.
That's fine. Yeah.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thanks, Rebecca. Right. We'll move on to our last poem. We all have very busy lives, like Rebecca does, but sometimes it's great to be thankful for the times when we have rest. And the next poem from Barry is inspired, I think, by a holiday he had earlier this year. I'm sure he'll introduce it, about celebrating the joy and peace that's found in a moment of solitude. I'll hand over to yourself, Barry, to take us through your poem, Memories in Slow Motion.
Yeah. So I was saying my connection is to the peer support network at the BBC is helping people and empowering people to do their best work. But what I often find out is that the drive to empower people, it's never separated from people's lived experiences outside of work. So it's become very important to me to try to connect with people and try to support in different ways regarding what we are doing. So that's my connection to the peer support network. And then on the personal level, as you rightly said, Graham, this poem was inspired by a moment I take earlier in the year for holiday, taking some time back, because we, like many of us here, we are always very busy and never really take time for ourselves. So I did that earlier this year, and I found a lot of joy in doing so. So this poem basically is dedicated to that joy and the peace, as Graham said earlier, that can be found when we take a step back and give some time for self-care and solitude for ourselves. And I've titled it Memories in Slow Motion. I'll read it out. A little bit of context. I normally write poems as a contemplation between myself, the day-to-day self, and in this case, between that day-to-day self and the solitude self. So it begins with me saying, "Dear solitude, it's been a while since it was just you and I, to turn off the noise and the ground, to be still, reflect, reset, and refocus. When the voices say we work hard, there you come whispering. You sometimes need a break, because I bet it's probably been a while. You get caught up in this rat race you run. You chase moments you hope is coming. You even get lost in the pursuit of happiness. What if you stopped and look around? What if the moment you chase is right here, in front of the eyes, beside your gaze, underneath your feet? What if you slow down time? What if you press rewind? What if this moment is the best you've got? This moment with thyself, this moment of joy, this moment of break, this moment of self-care, moments you can replay for thyself and for the kindred. What if you make of them stories to remember, like memories in slow motion? What if you make this moment one to love more than any? What if you do this over and over all your life? What if in this moment you make for the self memories in slow motion? How does it take this long to honor thy moments? Has it been too many noises, too many activities? What if you are committing to so much but not to thyself? Perhaps there lying the happiness you pursue. Does it make you full or empty, joyful or sad? Perhaps emptiness comes when you are alone. Perhaps you are never alone. Perhaps there is always one to keep busy with. Perhaps you've got to change your perspective on what truly matters and what counts. The moment you should hold to the heart like memories in slow motion. Perhaps this is impossible. What do I know? Except every moment missed can be restored the moment you create a new one. The moment you make your moments count. The moment you savor your moments. The moment you inscribe your moments like an imprint in the heart, like you choose to do now, like the one who will remember everything, like memories in slow motion. Thank you, Mallorca, the gourmet capital of the Mediterranean, for this gentle reminder. For thy sake, a word of gratitude is in order. Sincerely, the movement boss. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Barry. That's great. It's nice one to end on as well. It's really good. Good. Like I say, we've reached just over an hour, which is what I had in my mind, how much we got. So I'll finish off with the sharing how to, let me just click on that. That should come to, yeah, there you go. So if you want to find out more, how to order the book is a key one, of course. It's timetalk.uk.org.uk, Poetry of the Peers. And on that page, if I go to that page now, there we go. It's now changed to that. You've got Poetry and the Peers. I've got the videos that we've had there before, so they can still watch those. On the right is Rebecca's a link to Rebecca's podcast. Click on that or Digibag, you'll get straight onto it. Her podcast is available on Substack, where it's also on Spotify and other pod streaming things. I can't see why I'm not getting it now, but it should get there. And Poetry in the Book Peers, if you click on the book itself, it'll go straight to Amazon, and you can order as many copies as you'd like, available in Kindle or paperback. And on that note, I think I'll say thank you all very much for joining the call. Thank you to the contributors, for Claire, John, Giles, Rebecca, Sinead, Laura, Mark, Jess, Dorothy, Leslie, and Barry, I think. Thanks to all the people who contributed to the book as well. There's obviously a lot more poems in the book that we could cover today. And thank you all for joining this call and supporting the project. It's been a bit of a dream for me, I guess, and it's a great thing to do. I can sleep now. It's done. Good. Thank you, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, Graham, and same to all.
Thank you, Graham.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.